I don't know. I just had just this feeling. I just kept saying, I'm like, because he doesn't normally ride to work. He takes the car.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't ride. You know, it's a Friday. He's like, I'll be fine. He always texts me when he gets to work. And I didn't get it. And he was like creeping up to that time where he's about to be on stage. And I looked at his location and it was, it was in the grass outside the Speedway in Murfreesboro Pike. And I refreshed it again and again. And the next thing I knew, he was moving. So I'm like, okay, he's moving. But it was not him. He was in the ambulance. And when I refreshed it for the final time, it was at Vanderbilt. And I just knew, like, something in my gut told me that you wrecked. And so I grabbed my keys and got in the car and just screamed the whole way for you to just be alive.
After the accident, this brain surgery was January 21st. Was cranioplasty to put a 3D printed skull back in. Then from here to here is 3D printed.
You ready to roll?
I'm ready.
All right. Make a breather. I'm nervous. Two
I'm
people.
nervous.
I'm nervous. I'm just kidding. What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. What we do on this podcast is bring guests from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. We're here to make an impact, and we're here to connect, and that is what we do. So if that is for you, like, subscribe, all those amazing things. And if that is not for you, I don't know what your problem is, but it's time to jump on board. But without further ado, I would love to introduce our guests today, Dalton and Samantha Black. Yeah. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
It's good to have you guys. I think it's awesome. And y'all are blacked out. We're all blacked out.
Yeah.
It's cool.
All the time, every day.
Same here. I'm digging the vibe. I'm like, yeah, we all fit together well.
All black everything.
Yeah, all black everything. But welcome. It's an honor to have y'all.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So a little backstory. Not much of one. I just know Samantha somehow. We've been friends on social media for years now, and we know each other through mutual friends because we both lived in Panama City when I was stationed down there. And then, long story short, she shared the experience with you recently, life-changing event that happened.
Absolutely.
And I reached out, just wanted to, send some energy y'all's way, man, because I felt it to my core, because I obviously relate to that in my own way. And so, I was like, dude, I got to get them on. I want to hear his story, what his experience. So thank you for being here, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I'll say it's not a fun club to be in. It's not one I wanted to be in, for sure.
Yeah. It's not something, I always expected to lay my bike down at some point. Excuse me. This will eventually be brought to you by Ghost. Come on, guys. I'm here drinking the Ghost all the time.
That's the sponsor ad right there.
But this flavor is amazing, by the way. The grape, dude. Just like I could drink 5 of them. I won't. That won't help the blood pressure.
Right. Yeah.
Should you?
But no, it's really cool having y'all. And that's the thing. It's not necessarily a club you volunteer for.
No.
But you have nothing. At the end of the day, when it happens, if it happens, you got to embrace it.
Yeah.
It's just part of your life, and you got to move forward with it. So it all comes down to that choice.
Yeah.
Because you could very easily let it consume you, or use it, and it seems that that's the path you're on. Yeah. You're using it,
trying.
Jesus saved your life, man.
Yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah, hell yeah. I love it. Well, real quick before we dive into things. I don't know how long y'all been married.
We just had our 1 year anniversary in February
10th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My wife and me and my wife, that was our first date.
Really?
It was February 10th.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and we had our anniversary this past November. So our first anniversary.
Wow.
So
heck yeah.
all these weird dates, man. Something's going on.
Right. Yeah. Your birthday and everything.
Whoa. Wild stuff.
When's your birthday?
April 6th.
April 6th. Nice.
Yeah. I'm glad to be able to reach 35.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, every year's a blessing. So I'm going to age with it. I got the grays coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of them.
Well, you earned them.
Yeah. Thanks. So tell me about it, what it is that you guys, you know, do currently in your lives. Because I want the guests to get, you know, the audience to get to know who y'all are a little bit. Yeah. And yeah, just tell us what y'all got going on.
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll go. So I work part-time at Scoreboard. I bartend. And then actually the last year and a half, I've been trying to kind of kickstart my own little side business. I do like custom charcuterie boards.
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually called Chattahoochee Charcuterie. So look me up on Instagram.
Hell yeah. If I can ever get back on.
But yeah, just our daughter just started softball, and, you know, just kind of the opportunity to, you know, be a mom all the time and work and just, you know, kind of get through everything we've been going through. It's, you know, the sun is shining and
exactly
every day's a good day. So
nice. Hell yeah. You?
I am a band leader. I play music full time. We play close to 200 shows a year.
Nice.
And I've been out for the last 6 months, and this past week was my first week back, and I'm excited to be back. And that's what I've done for about 5 years full time is play live music full time and kind of travel around a little bit and release my own music here at home. And that's why I moved to Nashville. That's chasing the neon rainbow. That's what everybody says.
I love it.
Chasing the neon rainbow.
I didn't know that was a term, but now I know.
Yeah.
But hell yeah, dude, that's dope. Do you know Corbin Cagle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him on my podcast a while back. Yeah.
I love Corbin and Kelsey.
Yeah. I'm trying to get Kelsey on. I got to revisit that. But I've known Corbin for a while too. We used to train at the same gym and stuff. And I was like, dude, I only popped up on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, come down on the podcast, man. I bet you got a cool story.
I know him from Panama City real well.
Yeah. Corbin's cool, man.
Yeah.
He's just,
cool.
he's such a bro.
He's funny.
Yeah. He's cool as shit, man. So y'all stay pretty busy.
Yeah.
Parenthood, is this just the one girl?
Just one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How old is she?
She turned 12 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
12.
So how long y'all been together?
We have been together 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. So
So it was my daughter. I've been a single mom.
Oh, okay.
Since she's been born.
Okay. I thought I knew that. Maybe I knew that.
Yeah.
So hell yeah.
It was just me and her until.
I met her when she was 8.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How's what's that like? How's fatherhood introduced
It's awesome.
at 8? Yeah.
I have a younger sibling, much younger, so I've felt that with him, that connection with him in certain ways, but it's awesome to have it. And I always wanted a little girl, and I got it.
Heck yeah. Hey, I feel you there, man.
Yeah.
Being a girl dad is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love mine. She turns 2 in April.
Nice.
And I'm just obsessed. She's all cuddly with me and just there's nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
We're trying for another, and if we're blessed to have another one, I'm okay if it's another girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it is, not knocking. I mean, I'm a dude, obviously, but little boys just it's ugh, you're on my nerves, man.
Snotty nose and messy.
Little girls are just always cute. Even if they got some sass, okay, that's cute too.
Absolutely,
well, take us back a little bit. We want to get to the peak of this because there's a big part of this story that we're going to chat on a little bit.
Yeah.
Just so without giving too much away, I think just give a brief bit about what you've experienced recently, and then we're going to reapproach that later.
The main thing that we learned is God is always with us, but two, that they can 3D print bones. I never would have known that. Never had a reason to know that, and now we do.
Whoa!
They have 3D printed the entire right side of my skull.
Well, I think that'll get people wanting to hear more, dude. That's pretty wild.
I never thought I would know so much about the brain.
Yeah.
Not having gone to medical school, and I'm I could tell you more than I ever thought.
Of course, yeah, because you're right there, super
absolutely
involved. Well, shit. Well, we're gonna get to that, but what I want you to do, Bailey, get up there. What I want you to do is just take us back a little bit. Y'all both feel free to. Whoever wants to go first,
Yeah.
we'll keep it relatively brief. I want to know the journey a little bit, where you're from,
Okay.
some influences along the way through childhood, that play a part in who you're at today, stuff like that, interest and everything, just so people get a little bit more connected. And tell us about that a little bit. Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
You can go first.
Mine's pretty cut and dry. I'm from Chicago originally. I moved to Panama City Beach, Florida when I was, I think 19. And I had my daughter when I was 21, the week of my 21st birthday.
Dang.
Found out I was pregnant. And then it's just been her and I ever since. And, I worked at Tootsie's for a long time. And I always say bartending I never regret because it allowed me to have experiences with my daughter that a lot of people don't get. So that's definitely carried me through, and it's humbled me and made me a stronger person to be able to, just kind of look at life a little bit differently and take everything that was handed to me with, grace and appreciation. And then about 3 years ago, he quite literally walked into my bar, and it was love at first sight.
Yeah.
Literally.
Look at you, big dog.
Yeah.
She was like,
We followed each other on social media, but
heck yeah.
he hit me up. It's like, I'm coming to Panama. And I was like, I'm going to marry you one day.
Yes. I love that. Hell yeah. And you good there?
Yeah.
How was that adjustment, going from saber-tooths and woolies and 10 feet of snow to like gators and swamps and the beach?
That's why I moved. It was, good to have change of season, which I do get a little bit of that here in Nashville, but I just wanted to live that beach bum life and drink at noon. And, I was 19 and living like I was 21. So by the time I was 21 and having a kid, it was like that ship had already been sailed,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was missing out on my 20s, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I'm going to be a hot 40-year-old mom with an 18-year-old, so.
It works out.
We're good.
Hell yeah. And what about you?
I grew up here in Tennessee. It's like a unicorn being in Nashville. It's such a transplant city. I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, so about 3.5 hours east, and my family still lives there. And I made the move to Nashville in 2017 to chase the music, to chase the neon rainbow, and
hell yeah.
All of my life I have been growing towards performing and playing music on a stage. And I tell people this, and not a lot of people knows that I don't tell, but I took dance in middle school.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've been pretty much training for my job now.
Hell yeah.
My entire life. And my parents are so supportive, and my mom unfortunately passed away, and she was my biggest fan, but my dad still is. And they have supported me every step of the journey to move to Nashville and chase the music. And so I came from Knoxville, Tennessee, and moved here to Nashville. And my first job here was at a cowboy boot store, and very appreciative for them for allowing me, because I worked at the same store in Knoxville and made the move with them. So
nice.
And then that's how you got to start somewhere. And I've played live music ever since I've been here, and it's exciting. And being at home, she made a big move at a young age from Illinois to Florida. That's a massive move.
Yeah.
I moved 3 hours. And and it was a massive move for me, definitely. For sure. And I came here, and I've pretty much been chasing music and writing, and I changed genres this last year. Of everything else going on, I decided it was time to change genres. But this is home for sure, and eventually I want to go to the beach, just because the weather, Tennessee weather's, you've been here long enough to see that if you don't like it, you just wait 5 minutes. It'll change.
Yeah.
And I'm over that. I want the sunshine more time. Yeah, definitely more. And so I moved to Nashville and been playing full time for Tootsie's. That's how we met. They sent me down to Panama City Beach to play a week down there.
Okay.
At the Tootsie's down there, and I thank them for that every day, because I met my wife on the first day of being down there. And
I think he actually stayed.
Yeah,
He didn't go back home with his band. He stayed that week.
The band came home and I stayed. Yeah, yeah.
Like I met a girl.
Yeah, I stayed, definitely. And so yeah, I'm very thankful for Tootsie's, and they've been very supportive through my accident and stuff, and very thankful for ultimately giving me my wife and giving me my family, and then being by my side through this entire thing. And I moved, like a lot of people do, out of their hometown and away from their family.
Yeah.
I have found the family here, and
Okay.
and I have some of my closest friends here, and I met some very important people in my life here. So
Yeah.
this is absolutely home. Nashville is home 1,000%. And my little brother moved here and graduated high school. His last year of school, he graduated high school here, and my dad lived here, and so this is home for all of us now.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question. First of all, what genre did you shift from? What was the genre?
Country. Yeah. I jumped from country. My first 5 releases were country.
Okay.
And I jumped to really heavy metal rock.
Yes.
Big time.
Okay.
Big difference.
That's
Yeah.
like right up my alley.
Yeah.
I listen to like black metal and
Nice.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Black metal, death metal, like
Yeah.
I'm pretty elitist when it comes to it, but
Yeah.
I'm just like all about it.
That's awesome.
That's sick, dude. How was that shift been? Because, and I want to go back to, your music journey just a little bit, but, it's a country town.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was.
Oh, really?
It's shifting, and there's
It's getting heavier, darker?
definitely.
Yeah.
And certain genres are making a shift back, like with all the festivals all over the country. We were young and stuff, and rock is really making a resurgence. And some of the bars downtown are only rock.
Dude.
And that years ago, that was unheard of. It was all country.
Yeah, I mean,
day
I had
long.
no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad for this resurgence in it. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, metal's taking
There's a
over.
few hidden gems there that
Definitely.
only rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'll have to find them. Yeah, I'll have to get a little list.
Yeah.
I don't go downtown much, but if we ever get a night out, like,
Right.
I'm
We can
not
go
to find,
mosh together.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta find these bars.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed a lot of bands I listen to, that's even from overseas, are actually starting to come to Nashville more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is picking up. Now I can actually go see these guys. So
Right.
it's legit. Because usually I'd have to travel to Atlanta,
Exactly.
and I'm not a huge fan of Atlanta.
Right.
So to be able to go to a show here in Nashville, it's like, I can go home after. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly. We go to Atlanta to see the Braves, lifelong Braves, but we don't stay. We go to the stadium
come home.
and come home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quick trip.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
just turn around and
but
go.
I feel the same. I'm glad. In Knoxville, some of the bigger bands wouldn't come through. They would only come to Nashville, so now I'm here, and
That's sick.
yeah, it's cool to be in the city that they frequent.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, I mean, I appreciate that. We'll have to talk more about
Yeah.
that stuff because it's
Yeah.
cool, and I'd love to come see you play one of these days, man. So what inspired you to get into music?
Funny enough, when I was young, we would ride around in the car, and besides the performing that I did when I was young, different things, I liked being on stage, but we would ride around in the car in my teens, and I could change the words to the songs on the radio instant and kind of remix them for my friends or for just funny, and that's how that I started songwriting, is just riding around and changing the words to the song.
It's honestly such a talent. Like, he'll be singing a song and just throw like my wife from Panama City, and it'll blend with the song perfectly. It's so crazy.
And I do it at work for sure.
Yeah.
I takes whatever somebody's wearing or whatever, I could put it in the song.
Dude, that's cool.
That's kind of how it started.
You're almost like freestyling.
Yeah, pretty much.
With the different genres.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never, as a teenager, never really thought about it, and just thought it was funny and just liked to do it for fun, and then really honed in on it and started writing songs. And that's really what inspired me is in Knoxville, played open mics and anywhere that had a microphone and would allow me to plug a guitar in. And I when I was 19, I traded a PlayStation 3 that was collecting dust anyway for a guitar, because I wanted to learn to play the guitar and that's how it started. I got the guitar and never looked back and never put it down.
Dude, that's great, man.
Yeah.
You love it.
Yeah.
It's your passion.
It. Yeah.
And that's what matters, man. Follow your heart.
It's flowing.
And you've done it, man.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for it.
Thank you.
I know she is. Mm-hmm. So y'all seem like y'all got like great support with each other too.
Absolutely.
Is it difficult to manage like parenthood and like working downtown?
No.
Or do y'all make it? I mean, I'm sure there's ways.
Yeah.
Figured out.
Yeah. She can't see me because the time slot I play is so late. Is close. But the times that she has gotten to see me, it's cool to see. She sees me at home and very calm and things, and then sees me in that area, and she's like blown away.
That's super cool.
So that's been cool.
Good stuff, man. I love it, man. And at the end of the day, you're following your heart with it, and all those wonderful things. Y'all got a great thing going on. You're doing the parent stuff. Yeah. Are you going to try to have any more kids, or you're good?
No, that was a deal breaker. We both didn't want any more kids.
No.
Yeah, one's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She likes being the only child.
So back to it, guys. I wanted to ask you, I noticed this because you're like a really chill, mellow dude.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just like playing it off. She would know. No, you're just a super chill dude. And it's for something, it's all the musicians I know are like that. Like, Corbin's pretty laid back, just easy going. Yeah. My brother Sean, that's in the death metal band, he's just super mellow and stoic at all times.
Right.
And then you're pretty like chilled out. I just think it's interesting because, people see you on stage, they may not think that.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, this person's high energy all the time. But you don't see that. Why is that? Is that a thing? Is that common?
We would run out of energy. If we were like that 24 hours a day, you would run out. It would get exhausting. A lot of people I know tell us both that we're night and day. When like her sister, the first time she saw me, we rode in the car together and just small talk, and then got there and then did my thing. And she asked Sam, "Is that the same person?"
We had like a family dinner, and she wanted to come downtown. He was going straight to work, and he got up and started singing and dancing and doing his thing. And she's like, "That is not the same person."
That's the same guy.
Where did this come from?
You got to go in the phone booth.
Yeah. Do you get like nerves?
No.
At first, maybe, or just it's always kind of
never. It's stage fright has, even from the very first time I was on stage was in kindergarten, and I performed for the entire school, and it's that I am blessed. I've never had stage fright in anything.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's a lot harder. I tell her all the time, like, it's the times I will get nervous is if I'm at a family holiday dinner and they're like, "Oh, play us a song." That's when,
like, I don't know what I'm doing.
To play at work and play on stage, no. It's a lot easier when more people's there.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah. Way easier.
I spoke at an event last year, the end of this past year at MTSU, and I was like, there was probably, I don't know, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And then they had it like on camera live for like 80 other campuses within this group. And I'm like, shit, dude, I'll check my pulse. I was like, and then my wife was like, "Joe, I thought you you've done that a million times. And I was like,
Yeah.
really? Because I was nervous as shit up there.
Yeah.
So I guess, at least I could play it off.
Good.
But
Well, that's what matters.
yeah. So, but anyways, I was just curious. I did want to say before getting your story, you said you lost your mother, and
Yeah.
I know that that's impacted you because you spoke about how
time.
highly of her and how
Yeah.
close y'all were and how supportive your family's been. And I think
Definitely.
that's huge,
Yeah.
how did she pass? If you don't
She
mind?
was it's crazy. Everything in my life has been from an accident or a wreck of some sort. And my mom, when I was in 4th grade, had a wreck on a 4-wheeler. I had just got a 4-wheeler for my birthday. And we were riding it outside and riding around the neighborhood, and she went to turn back into the driveway, and the driveway was gravel, and it caught the gravel and flipped, and she stuck her leg down to try to stop it and snapped. And I watched every bit of this happen and remember it vividly, but she snapped her leg, and she sat in the middle of the road, and she was so feisty at times. Never with me, but anybody who knew her are nodding their head at that.
Yeah.
But she sat in the middle of the road after snapping her leg, and she looks up at my stepdad and she says, "Well, you gonna come get me out of the road?" And went to the hospital, and obviously had to have leg surgery. And at the time, she was healthy, really healthy, and she was about 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And within a couple months, just dropped weight to like 100 pounds. She dropped
Really?
100 pounds instantly. And in that wreck, she hit her head, and she messed up something that connects your brain. I'm not a doctor, but something that connects your brain to your stomach was damaged. So her stomach essentially became a dead organ, and she could not digest food. So she fought through that for 17 years. She passed away in 2021, and she got what she wanted. She wanted to see me graduate high school, see me chase my dream to Nashville. She fought hard, and she was sick a lot, especially in the later years, and she shedded so much weight because her stomach never regained. And she was back between Knoxville and Vanderbilt, and with the gastro doctors and stuff, and they put a feeding tube in. It didn't work, and they wanted to put a pacemaker in her stomach. She wasn't healthy enough to withstand the surgery. Damn. And so she got to a point, and she told me, as calm as day, she said, "I've seen you're at a good place, and I've seen what I wanted to see. You graduate high school and chase your dream. You're doing well, and I'm tired of fighting." And she had fought so hard that you can't fault her. She didn't give up, I don't feel. And she just told me that Monday, she said, "I'm tired."
She's tired of suffering.
And in and out of hospitals and tired of fighting, and signed up for hospice. And she passed away Wednesday, I believe, that Wednesday of the same week. And I'm very thankful for that Monday. We spent the whole day and talked and hung around. And then I came back to Nashville Tuesday and played downtown. And Wednesday morning they called and they said, "It's time to come back." And she passed Wednesday night. Damn. And that Wednesday night in 2021. So that's it all stemmed from the 4-wheeler accident. But
what a crazy thing.
Yeah,
you
crazy.
Don't expect that at all. I mean,
not
a lot of
at
people
all.
wreck 4-wheelers.
Right. Yeah.
If you could, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer this, but if you could say anything to her right now, what would you say?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gratitude. That's what I'm filled with. And I told her last night, and the entire time, my dad's been here a lot and been at the hospital with me through this, and I'm 30 years old, and he's been here the entire time. She would have been here.
Yeah.
And just thank you.
Yeah.
And she believed in me and gave me the confidence to chase my dream.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're carrying. It's like when we lose people, you carry their spirit with you.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I have her ashes. That's why my arm's blacked out. Her ashes are in my arm.
Dude,
It always gets me so emotional.
Yeah.
that's. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but that's amazing. That's like the coolest shit ever.
I was super against her being cremated, and she wanted to be cremated because it was cheap, financially cheaper, which I understand that. But that's what, since she did that, and that's what I had the full sleeve and blacked it out, and you can see it's been 4 years now, I guess, and since I've done this, and you can still see the ashes. They don't heal really well, but that has her ashes in it.
What a cool way to like carry her with you.
Yeah.
I'm all for cremation. I'm like set the soul free,
Right.
But it worked out because you're able to like do something very meaningful. Yeah, man, that's it gives me chills. But thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking me.
For sure. And I feel like, she was with you in your accident,
Definitely.
man. Yeah, that's definitely
100%.
Yeah, we'll reflect on that further. Now, for those of you who don't know, couldn't gather, he had a very gnarly motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
But not long before that, he had a near-death thing happen that we both relate on.
Right.
And I'll let you take that. Tell everybody what you experienced in here, in your heart.
I had open heart surgery from getting bucked off of a horse and breaking my collarbone, which broke with the motorcycle wreck, even under all the screws. But the horse bucking me off led to them finding an aneurysm in my heart and saving my life. And I have you could probably pick it up a little bit on the mic. It sounds like a wristwatch, but that's my heart ticking, and it's ticking like they say it should. That's the...
I don't know if that would work. You can put it up against.
Maybe so.
Let's see. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Damn. That's so wild.
I heard
dude.
it.
There's when I'll like be recording a new song or something. There's been times where they're like, "Can you take your watch off?" Nope. This one don't come off.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me to stop my heart? And just
Yeah. And
that's
they're like,
wild.
They're like, "Really?"
I said that when we first started dating. I was like, "Do you have a watch on?" He's like, "Here we go."
And used to, I wore a watch, but yeah. So I had to have open heart surgery in 2018 at 23. I was the youngest person on that floor of the hospital by 60 years. It felt everybody.
Yeah.
So the nurses wanted to come in and be with me because everybody else was 80 years old and dealing with that.
Yeah, you said you were breaking the horse, or like you were just riding it?
It was a family horse, and we were going to take some pictures on it with my guitar, and I was sitting on her about 5-10 minutes, and then she just got spooked. Something, they're very temperamental, and she was broke and very calm, and she just got spooked and threw me over her head, and which at the time we were mad about and frustrated because it broke my bone, but now very thankful because it saved my life.
Maybe she was trying to tell you something, man.
Yeah.
Animals know some stuff.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's my story crazy. Every time I hear it, I'm like,
yeah.
And I would have never gone to the doctor. I've never liked the doctor.
Same.
And I would have never gone for any other reason. So it had to be that.
Well, it's like I was talking about earlier. I have to get myself to a wall, or something has to happen for me to actually put myself there. And, that hard-headedness, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a lot of people share that, especially men, like we're just like, nope, we're good.
Right.
But, I'm glad like those circumstances happened. Mm-hmm. It sucks, but like it led to you. You're here now because of it, probably. Yep. And it's wild how like you think about, I've done a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, over the past few years, I've gotten into like underground bare knuckle fighting and stuff, like I'm not riding motorcycles, but I'm taking risks elsewhere. Yeah. And people are like, oh, people always want to talk about like risks.
Right.
And it's like, dude, it's just as simple as like, that's the thing. If I don't live my life taking risk on purpose, like I don't feel purpose.
Right.
But just something simple as riding a four-wheeler, which a lot of people do.
A lot of people
can change everything.
Yeah.
Or something as simple as getting on a horse can save your life. You know, it's like you just got to live.
Absolutely.
However things play out, there's a reason for it. Even if you don't see it, there's lessons there. And you got to find that gratitude. And, you know, whether it's loss and you carry that spirit on or something, there's always something there to see. Definitely. If you pay attention. And so that's why I like take all the risk and do what you love.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't guarantee you're going to, you know, if you play it safe your whole life, doesn't guarantee that you're not going to meet your end soon, you know? So yeah, dude, keep doing your thing. I mean, it's just crazy how things just play out.
Exactly.
You know?
And, bubble wrap still pops. So it's not,
He's got a quote for everything.
We're not meant to be bubble wrap. And there's, especially after this, you need to wear bubble wrap because you've had open heart surgery. Now you had brain surgery. No,
still pops.
It still pops.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And I'm not going to stop anything.
Yeah. Keep living, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's what our daughter made this. And this was our quote pretty much through the entire time. No fear.
Yeah.
No fear. And even the day I had to be rushed into the second brain surgery and they were emotional and stuff, that's the last two words I said to them as I was being taken to the OR. No fear.
Damn right.
Faith over fear.
It's going to be all right.
Yeah, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, dude.
And that's the way we've really tried to instill in her too. And this is her first year playing a sport. And it's understandable not understanding some of the rules and learning, but we're all in. And that's what we're trying to teach her. And she's picked it up so quickly. Yeah. It's blown me away.
That's cool.
Been around it my whole life, and she's picked it up so fast and no fear.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. Well, that's obviously been very relevant, you know, that quote in your life now. But before, you know, we build up this suspense anymore, take us to the accident. You know, take us to this event. What helped me find you in the first place.
Right.
Share that day and what happened with us.
I can share that day. That's the crazy part about it is I remember every bit of the day. I remember the conversation we had in the driveway before it, but I don't remember pulling out of the driveway at all. And I've tried. I've tried.
So she's going to be able to recall a lot of stuff.
That day we signed Carson up for the school band, and went to rent her instrument. She picked to play the drums, and then we
oh, she playing drums?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then outside of the school, they had a pop-up fair, and we went and walked around the little fair and rode some of the rides. And then we went home. We ate pigs in a blanket.
Now it made them sense. I was just going to say that.
We ate pigs in a blanket. That's crazy.
So y'all went to you said you went to the fair?
Went to the fair out pretty much in the parking lot of the school. They set up a fair.
Hell yeah.
It's Friday, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, and we rode some of the rides and then went home and ate dinner. And then we were in the driveway, and I was saying goodbye to her, and Carson and my brother was there, and that's the last thing I remember, so she'll take it from there.
I don't know. I just had just this feeling. I just kept saying, I'm like, because he doesn't normally ride to work. He takes the car.
Yeah.
And it was Friday, and I think that maybe 2 times you ever rode it was like a slow Sunday or something. I was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't ride. You know, it's a Friday. He's like, I'll be fine. And I'm like, I just feel like you shouldn't. At the last minute, I stood in the garage as he pulled out. And like one last time, I was like, come on, like, you want to take the car? Does it have gas? Like, and he just was determined, and he's stubborn. So I was like, well, I guess that's what he's going to do. But yeah, he always texts me when he gets to work, and I didn't get it. And it was like creeping up to that time where he's about to be on stage, and I looked at his location, and it was Sorry, it was in the grass outside the Speedway at Murfreesboro Pike, and I refreshed it. I'm like, oh, maybe he stopped for a Coke or something. Maybe, I don't know. I refreshed it again and again, and the next thing I knew, he was moving. So I'm like, okay, he's moving. But it was not him. He was in the ambulance. And when I refreshed it for the final time, it was at Vanderbilt. And I just knew, like, something in my gut told me that you wrecked. And so I grabbed my keys and got in the car and just screamed the whole way for you just to be alive. I didn't even know. We didn't know at the time.
You didn't get a call or anything?
No, I knew something was wrong. So, I mean, I parked and I'm walking up the sidewalk to Vanderbilt, and we got like a notification on the Ring app, and a cop was standing at the door, and I just dropped to my knees because I'm like, this is it. They're coming to say, you know, your husband's dead. And luckily, so his brother was there, came down and answered the door, and I'm like yelling over the Ring app because you can speak through it. And I'm like, is he alive? Is he alive? And he said, yeah, he's alive. He's alive. We don't know his condition, and at that point, I'm just tore up. But I was just glad you were alive. So when I was trying to find you, I didn't know. I've never been to Vanderbilt. I'm like running around trying to.
That's a big place.
Yeah.
For sure.
Figure out where you were.
It's just chaos for you.
Yeah.
Because were you alone?
Yeah.
Did you have your daughter with you, or?
No. I ran up and told, and I hated leaving it like that, but I ran up and told his brother. I said, I just know something's wrong. He wrecked. I'm like, you have to stay here with Carson. I'll call you when I know something. So he was just tore up too, but.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
The cop hugged him. I saw that on the Ring camera. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it obviously at the time, but afterwards the cop hugged him when he was telling him. So.
Yeah. And finally, when I got to talking to somebody, because at first he was we call it like a John Doe. Mm-hmm. You know, they didn't, like, the name wasn't in the system. It didn't register. So I'm like, you know, and when you're like in a situation like that, you're trying to like be calm so that you can, you know, get to what you need to do. But at the same time, there's so many thoughts that are going through your mind. So it's like, I really had to try to like find my inner strength where I could function to where I needed to be, you know. When I finally did, they said you were in trauma ICU, and they like put you in this like, almost like you're about to be interrogated. Like just this long empty table in a room that has nothing in it but a big whiteboard, and you're just sitting waiting, and 10 minutes felt like 10 hours till someone could finally come in and tell me what was going on. So I'll never forget it. It makes me, you know.
And I wear a vest every time, a leather vest.
Yeah.
And it has the pockets on the inside, and that's where my phone and wallet was. So and they cut it off. I have it, and I've got it fixed, and it's at home now. But they cut it off. I think that's why I was John Doe, because I didn't have a wallet in my pocket.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was in the inside pockets of the vest.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing it's tough for y'all to relive.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting because you don't remember any of that.
I know that.
But you hearing her perspective, it obviously draws some emotion out of you.
Definitely.
You know, and I think for me, it's definitely hard hearing like my mother and my sister talk about it, you know, like she didn't even know anything. She had to like do but they got a call, Joe's on a life flight. That's all they knew, you know? And so those same thoughts.
Right.
Is he dead? Is he dead? You know, and like, I just put myself in those passenger seats of their vehicles, you know, and I'm just like, oh, dude, I'm just like, I can almost see them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like a hard thing for me to visualize because, you know, you realize like that you're loved that much, man. And you really are, obviously.
Yeah.
She's been by your side through it all.
Definitely.
But, yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that, you know, like just that panic and stuff. I mean, it's a tough thing.
Yeah. I always say I've been through some scary things in my life, you know, from just, I never had a near-death experience personally, but sometimes it's like you wonder, it's a good thing that you weren't like coherent or awake, because I don't want you to have to feel that fear or go through that if that was me.
Yeah.
But that's definitely the scariest moment of my life, was that drive to the hospital, not knowing if you were alive or not.
God.
Hands down.
There was apparently some lady that worked at the gas station, because on Murfreesboro Pike, where it's at in Antioch, there's 2 gas stations and then a State Farm across the street. None of them have cameras, so it's pretty dead in the water because the other driver drove off. But there was some lady that came out and sat with me because I was the report says I was underneath the motorcycle.
Okay.
And she sat with me, and I went into that gas station to this day a few times to try to see her. And
Just to say thank you.
Just thank you.
Because she'd reached out.
Yeah.
She found me on Facebook and sent me a message saying all these details that only someone would know if they were there, and
Right.
that the bike was on top of him and that someone had swerved in his lane.
You haven't been able to connect with her since?
No. No. I've went in there a handful of times just hoping, because we have her name and stuff, and she's not been working.
Well, hopefully y'all cross paths.
We're gonna
be pretty powerful.
Keep trying. Yeah.
You know, it reminds me, and just not too long on this, but the guy that responded to my accident, he was an SRO officer at that elementary school.
Yeah.
And so he was out at his car and he heard it.
Yeah.
So he ran over without a radio or anything. It was just like, he just took off.
Yeah.
And his name was Larry Maples, Officer Larry Maples. And I'll tell you what, I went, when I could start walking again, I went over to that school. I walked in there to see him. And dude, I lost it. I started bawling. You know, just like, I was just like, thank you. He's like, dude, you survived it. And I was like, yeah, but like, if it weren't for you being there and like recognizing, paying attention to what needed to be seen, like my soft chest and stuff like that, like I may not be here, man. Like it was, it moved me to a whole other degree. So I'm forever grateful for his response. And
definitely,
you know, the fact that he was just there.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Do you know what happened in the wreck? Like,
no,
nobody knows.
The report, I guess, no, I don't know.
Oh, really?
I have no recollection at all.
Yeah, what would the report say, I guess?
So which is crazy because he's not a fast or crazy driver or anything like that. And so when I had found out that he was in the fast lane, like the left lane, he normally rides in the right.
I had to have been passing somebody.
That's what we've gathered.
Surely.
Yeah.
And
that somebody was probably poking up through there, and I didn't fly either. I would say in the area that it was in, if I had to guess or estimated, educated guess would be I was going 35, 40 maybe. I wasn't flying up through there, and I have a Sportster. It's just a cruise, and that's all I wanted for, and I would have had to have been passing somebody to be in that lane.
It's crazy. I'm sure people just assume you were like flying.
Yeah.
People thought I was, but we were both going like 35, maybe just a few over. And like, no, dude, that low speed can jack you up.
Yeah.
And he don't even take the highway because he likes to just cruise. So
and I like to cruise down Murfreesboro Pike, get on the interstate, pretty much riding Murfreesboro Pike as long as you can, get on the interstate, get off on Broadway exit.
Okay.
That's the route I take when I was doing that.
Did someone actually? And so, sorry, I might have missed this. Did you actually get hit, or it was just a miss?
They don't know if they made contact. By the level of injuries, we think possibly may have got bumped, but I don't think there was any damage to the car.
So the witness, she wasn't in her vehicle. None of the vehicles stayed.
No.
She was pumping gas at the gas station and ran over.
Interesting.
And she worked there, and she just happened to be there off work. Yeah. And so the way that I think she put it was they came into my lane, and I jerked away from them.
To like avoid being hit.
Yeah. But I think that was hard for me, dude, in the hospital. I I'll never forget, man. Like my dad holding me on my side, my mom wiping my ass.
Yeah.
And I just was crying. I was like, dude, this is so humbling.
Yeah.
You don't remember all the...
No, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, that shit. It's just hard to reflect on. And
Yeah.
I remember they kept having to scan me, right? Well, they couldn't give me any fluids because they had to do all these scans.
Yeah.
And I was just fucking thirsty.
Right.
My legs are so broken. I'm just like, you know, they had like the Dilaudid hooked up to me. So I'm just tapping this button, just like, and I remember just being like, they put me in one of those things and it was like, beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I was like, listen, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm freaking out. I'm thirsty. I'm just thirsty. And they're like, listen, we can't give you any water. And so they dip like a little sponge in some water. And I'd be like,
Chew on it, yep.
yeah. And I was like, and I just started going crazy, dude. And it's weird because when I went and got my graft checked out, like a year ago, I started getting like super anxious in that thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess it just brought me back to that. And I was like, weird. But I was just like,
Right.
and like shit doesn't get me like that. Like I get pretty amped up about stuff, but like it's like this PTS kind of thing. Like, damn, I do not like being in this thing contained. It just brings me back to that place. But anyways, it's just things that cross your mind sometimes.
I think she said I talked somebody into giving me Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Nothing more American than that.
That's Tennessee original.
Mountain Dew and NASCAR.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mountain Dew's my favorite. And I talked somebody into bringing it in there. You keep this stuff you keep bring that. That'll do a lot more for me than that medicine will, I promise.
Definitely wasn't the nurse that you were talking crap to about Vanderbilt.
Yeah, because being in Knoxville, the balls are, in my blood. And so I don't remember saying that, but I'm sure if I created a coherent thought, that's probably what it was.
You were so out of
Yeah.
it. You said, why the fuck is everybody wearing Vanderbilt shirts?
Take that off. You got to take that off.
They work here.
that's so funny, man.
There's orange in here somewhere. We need to find it. And then I called somebody a liberal, I think.
Yeah,
That's what she
did.
said. That didn't go over well either.
They can't knock you for it. You're kind of out of it. I'm sure they probably heard worse too.
Yeah.
It reminds me of my brother. I vaguely remember this. They were rolling me back to some surgery. And like, I remember everybody's kind of standing there like outside of the ICU.
Yeah.
And like on this thing, on the bed, and they're rolling me through, and I'm like, where am I going? And my brother-in-law was just like, Metallica concert. And I guess like as they rolled me back, I was just like, fuck you. So I know he meant well, but I think that's a cool thing. And I'm sure you saw it, like the support,
Oh, definitely.
that love from people.
Definitely.
That's something that like, it just establishes that gratitude in it even more.
Definitely.
And that's something to pay attention to, because like I think that one thing that my experience taught me was like that I had the capability to look back on my life and find gratitude in like the most difficult circumstances, and that's true gratitude.
Yeah.
If you can find gratitude in the worst things,
Right.
then that's when gratitude is the most real.
Yeah.
We got some details of like the accident, and everything there, and your experience and remembrance of it up until then, and then her account of learning of your accident and so on. This is y'all's story, talk about the experience, the feelings you felt like, and the recovery.
Definitely. I want to just talk about when I transitioned to Stallworth to the Rehabilitation Center, and I was much more coherent and getting up and being very active. They put me through physical therapy and stuff, and very thankful for them because they helped me a lot. And that was my realization, and I think their realization too, that he's coming back and he's going to be back to himself, because that was the first time I felt like myself being in Stallworth and going to the physical therapy and going to the cafeteria and just getting out of the hospital bed and walking around. And I was annoyed at times to play their small little game, neurological games, but also very thankful that I could still do it.
Yeah.
That I could put a puzzle together and do the, stand on one foot and hop and just do the simple things that in the past would have been, mindless. And so that was the first time I felt like myself, is in Stallworth and coming out of the main hospital. And that's ultimately where I transitioned to home from Stallworth and went home from.
How long was the transition from the hospital to Stallworth? How much uncertainty was there early on? You got to the hospital, right? And obviously, you know what you know.
Yeah.
When were you certain that he was going to be okay?
So for the first 4 days, it was all uncertainty. They were basically, what they say, prepare for the worst. Because he was on the breathing tube, the feeding tube, all that, but it was because he was so unresponsive. They do, I think, every hour on the hour, they poke and probe him to get some kind of reflex or anything, and it was like there was nothing for the first 48 hours. And then it was finally the left side. He was able to move like a finger or a thumbs up. But the way that his brain injury is he actually hit his head on the left side, but his brain shifted to the right side. So it essentially bounced. So if the injury was on this side, he would have lost all cognitive ability. He would have had to learn to talk on his own, walk on his own, all that stuff. So I think once we hit that point where he started responding, that's when I kind of felt a little more relief. And the nurses gave me books, and I just self-educated. I literally, in between, because you can only visit someone for a certain amount of time, 15 minutes at a time. Mm-hmm. In between that, I was studying, reading about brains, craniectomies, and all kinds of stuff. So once I kind of saw each day he was progressing a little bit, is when I was like, okay, there's hope, which it's hard to find hope when you're in a situation like that. You just have to stay positive.
Yeah.
And, they say he's unconscious, but I talked to him the whole time. I had to believe that he could hear me, and, I would sing his songs. I would talk to him about just everything. Whether it helped or not, obviously he doesn't remember, but I believe that it did.
It did, for sure.
Definitely.
And then it's almost like he just made such a dramatic, upgrade after that. He started moving fingers, and then 2 days later, they're moving him. He was always in ICU, but there was step-down rooms where it was he didn't need as much attention. So I think after that, when they're and I think one time he gave the middle finger, and that was not a command that they did, so that was him on his own. It was after that turning point, I was like, all right, he's in there.
Oh,
that's
he's
him.
back. That's his middle finger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it was 14 days he was in ICU, and then that last 3 days is when they made that transition, and then they were like, oh, he's trying to leave the bed. He yanked his feeding tube out. He's ready to go to the rehab.
That stuff was coming out.
Yeah. You're ready to get the hell out of the hospital.
Yeah. And that was, I don't remember any of that. I have no recollection of anything in the ICU or when any of the tubes were in, or really the first recollection would have been in one of the step-down rooms when I was sitting in a chair, and my mama, my mom's mom, came to town, and I do remember her and seeing her, and then it's pretty much a blur.
Yeah.
From that to Stallworth, I remember very vividly being in the rehabilitation facility. I was there for 2 weeks too, and I do have full recollection of being in there, but none of the ICU. So I've never said thank you. I've never got to say thank you to the ICU nurses or the staff, and I'm very thankful for them because they really helped me to to still be here, and God put them there, and that's the way that I believe and feel, and he surrounds you with the people that you need.
100%.
And I think Vanderbilt, even though my disdain of them when they play my Volunteers, I have a new respect and healthy appreciation for them, because I'm very thankful for them.
That's awesome, man. You know, have y'all always been pretty, spiritual, or did this, like, I guess, strengthen that connection there?
Definitely strengthened it. I've, always had the tattoos and felt a connection with him, but, like we all do, we pull away, and this definitely has strengthened it and started to grow the relationship with him and giving him all the credit. And it's caused our daughter to become more inquisitive and want to learn more about God.
Yeah.
And we've grown. That's the best thing that's came out of it is we do like a Bible study every night together, and it's grown our relationship in that, and it's definitely strengthened it.
Super cool.
Yeah. And he's all, I always knew he was there, but it's when you need him, you really realize it. And so that it's definitely strengthened it and made me realize I'm not Superman.
Yeah.
And I had the Superman symbol tattooed on my chest. It's covered up now, but I'm not Superman. I have a lot of help, and I give most of all the credit to him for saving my life, because he saved my life. But he did that by surrounding me with the right people.
Yeah.
And putting my family, my wife and my dad and the nurses and the doctors, he put me in that place and put me in where I could be helped.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. For you, I guess, did you have a lot of people to lean into during this? Because I'm pretty sure you felt kind of lonely at times.
Yeah,
maybe.
definitely. It's crazy, the people that you don't expect, in a sense, where it's like just people that I've never even met were reaching out, just the community in general, but people that I'd never met, that whether they were musicians downtown or just anyone, word of mouth, just were there for support there. If you need anyone to talk to, if you need help with your daughter, and I'm pretty independent when it comes to things like that, but there were times that I did take people up on that, because you feel like the only people that you can talk to are somebody that's either been through it or know somebody, their loved one, that's been through it. So for that, I definitely appreciate everybody. And, there was a few times I broke down, but that definitely helped carry me through, knowing that we weren't alone, that, there's people that are there when you least expect it. So.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad for that. How long do you think the whole process lasted? To where you're at now, you said that was 6 months ago?
6 months. I returned to work last week. So on the day I returned to work a week ago today, Thursday, is when I got the report from the doctor that there's no restrictions, that you're released fully.
Dude, hell yeah. What have you been doing to occupy your time since?
Just hanging at home, really practicing softball with Carson, because her first game's coming up. We've been really doing that and just hanging out. And
we did have a scare with this last surgery, though.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That, definitely put me, I guess, like some kind of traumatic flashbacks, but it was like we didn't come this far for...
Right.
What happened?
So the first, after the accident, this brain surgery was January 21st, was cranioplasty to put a 3D printed skull back in. Then from here to here is 3D printed. And January 21st was the original putting it in. And I walked the next day. I walked in the ICU, and I got out of the bed and feeling good. And then 5 days later, Sunday, I had just a really, really bad headache, and it was hurting behind my head and everything. And I had developed a blood clot behind the new bone, and so they had to rush me to surgery, take it out, clean it off, eliminate the blood clot, put it back in. And so that was
not what you expected.
No, because we were on the way to going home, because that was at the 5-day mark, and it would have been not much longer after that. I would have gone home, and thank God that I didn't go home, because we would have had to be rushed back and go right back, because ultimately that.
So for people that don't know, that cranioplasty, for 6 months, he only had half of his skull. Yeah. His was so broken that if your skull is intact when they remove it, they can essentially replace your same skull, but his was in pieces. So they had to wait for his brain. That's why he had so many doctor's appointments, was constantly monitoring the swelling of his brain. So finally, when it came to a place where his brain was able enough to put that 3D plate back in, is when that clot happened. Yeah. With that is because he can't be on his heart medication. Yeah. So it's like every day was constantly CT and checking his blood, because it was either too thin or too thick. So then when he had that emergency surgery, that's why we were there for so much longer.
So long.
Because they had to incorporate it a tiny bit at a time, because it's such a sensitive, you have to care about your brain, but you also have to worry about the heart. So it was like every day we're just like a little bit more at a time.
And I was, I know that you can relate to this. I was going crazy by the end. I was ready to go. Yeah. It was time to go.
And so much energy.
Yeah. And I had an IV, and I had clearance to walk around. So they said, you can walk around anywhere in this hospital, just don't walk out. Just stay inside. So I would go downstairs, and I got to walk around and do that, but I was still very confined, and I was ready to go by the end. After the second surgery, and after, the surgeon came in and everything healed, and I feel like I do today, and I was ready to go.
I can only imagine, man. Yeah.
I was definitely ready to go by the end. 3 weeks was, and 2 brain surgeries in 3 weeks, and probably 500 CTs, it felt like. I had to have a CT, multiple CTs per day. And I definitely got over that.
Well, how are things looking going forward? Like, are you in the clear, or do you gotta, you're good to go?
I just have to listen to my body, and because I asked for the last week at the doctor, the incision looks great. I'm not having any pain at all. I didn't come home with any pain medication. That's a blessing in itself that I didn't have to. Yeah. There was no need for it, because I was not having any pain. And so I asked, is there any restriction? Just listen to your body. And can I resume working out? Can I resume doing anything? And they said yes. From our end, there's no restriction. You're in the clear.
Hell yeah, we're about to go train after this. Yeah. We got the gym back there. Let's do it.
But
for your heart, for the rest of your life, though,
definitely.
Your heart has to be monitored.
Just have to listen to it. And I have to go to the heart doctor once a month. Then that's forever. But that's okay. But as far as the brain goes, it's in the clear.
Good shit, dude.
And the swelling will continue to go down. I know I mask it pretty well I wear a hat all the time anyway, but a lot of people would never know that I had brain surgery 39 days ago. Yeah. Just by talking to me. Yeah. And it'll continue to go down. That's just extra fluid.
Of course.
Because they move your jaw in this surgery to put the new plate in. Your jaw has to go down.
Oh, really?
So at first to eat and stuff, chewing was difficult, but now I don't really notice it. And
Dude, you're crushing it.
yeah, I'm feeling good.
I think it's just such an amazing recovery.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, the fact that you walked in here and you're conversating like you do, I'm like, dude, this is a beautiful thing, man. You're extremely fortunate, and I know you know that. I don't got to remind you. And it's such a powerful testimony, man. And I'm excited to see what you do with it. You know, that's something you could share with anybody for a long time. You know, because there's going to be people you run into that are just in dark places or are going through some stuff, and you got something that they'll be able to connect with, and you'll be able to inspire a lot of people. You've inspired me, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you both have.
And you can relate to it. And like I said, off camera, it's not a team that any of us wanted to join.
Yeah.
And, but I am glad to find camaraderie and find that there's other people that have been through it and made a full recovery. You couldn't tell.
100%.
You couldn't, both of us, just by looking at us, we couldn't convince most people that we've been through such a traumatic thing, and
Facts.
And that's a blessing to both of us.
Truly,
that we would have to convince them.
Yeah.
And
now you use that.
Yeah. Now it's time to use it, and that's why my first show back, I wore this shirt, and I just ultimately want to represent that it's not my strength. It's all God's strength. He carried me, and he surrounded me with people, my wife and my family and the doctors. He surrounded me with people that healed me and carried me. I have anytime there's people say it all the time, Superman. No, I'm not. I have a lot of help.
I have some people that say this. You call me that as well.
And I didn't do any of this on my own.
Yeah.
And I didn't, if I was Superman, I would have bounced.
Yeah.
I would have bounced and stood right back up from the wreck, but I didn't. And I've had a lot of help. And I want to give the credit to everybody else who helped me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it. I didn't do it on my own.
Well, I will say, you had that willpower within you, though. And there's something there, at the end of the day, like, not to argue it.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate that. Like, you're giving that credit out. But for me, looking at you, I'm like, you still have something within you that overcame that, like, I think we all have that. We have that capability to have that will to push through anything, right? And so
that's what I said. He has the fight in him.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that like that. Yeah, that give up, and you had it in you, man. And so while you don't want to take credit, you can hold on to that.
Yeah,
because that at the end of the day, that could pull you through anything. Along with that other strength as well.
Right.
But willpower.
I said the same thing. I think just your whole life you've been a good person, and there's a lot of people out there that drink and drive or drive recklessly and don't have a scratch. So I think that just the good you've done in your life and the just your heart, and call it karma or whatever, but I have to believe that you fought through that because you knew you wanted to continue to be a father. You wanted to continue to be a husband, and to share your story and inspire people with your music, your just everything. So I definitely believe that as well. That
hell yeah. One of these days we're going to do like a collab Relentless Pursuit, like you shirt, whatever your band or something. Then we're going to do something cool. We're making metal as shit. And
After Dark.
We're going to
That's my band name. After Dark.
Dude, I've already got some ideas. Yes, we're going to make that happen, and maybe that'll go towards what we eventually do for you. Man, that's such a powerful story. I know y'all got to be somewhere like 3:30.
Yeah.
What has been maybe the biggest lesson for each of y'all in this? If you could focus on one thing, your biggest takeaway from it all.
Lean on the ones around you because they're there, because they're supposed to be there. And I think at a point we feel so independent and wanting to do things on our own. And through this, I've truly saw, which I'm very grateful for and very thankful to have the people around me that I can lean on, and to to ask for help and lean on help.
Beautiful.
And accept help.
It's a powerful thing, man. Love it. What about you?
I've thought about this question a lot, like what I would take from all this if somebody asked me, and it sounds somewhat of a cliche, but to not take anything for granted, because you get a firsthand look at something like how fast it could be over. Whether it's something as small as just, always making sure you say, I love you before you leave out the door. The little things we nitpick at in our daily life, that almost seems irrelevant to the things that you're sitting in traffic and, you're cussing and you're mad, but it's like, even that traffic, you're alive, you're in that traffic, you're doing okay. It sounds so cliche, but I can't stress enough how there are things in life that we take for granted, or the people, or just the little moments. You just open your eyes a little more and just live in the moment. Sorry, it gets emotional. But.
No, that's like perfect. Because it brings you to the moment. Yeah. And I only think, a lot of things that sound cliche only because people say it without intention. You know what I'm saying? Like, things sound cliche because people just regurgitate stuff because.
Right.
But you genuinely mean that. And so it doesn't sound cliche at all. That was beautifully said. So thank y'all for sharing those. Dude, I've had a good time with you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Real quick, I ask everybody this. We'll have Samantha answer first. What is your relentless pursuit?
Put me on the spot. I definitely think just essentially living, not every day, maybe it's your last. I guess that's something people take lightly, but to just take every day for what it's worth, and not, tomorrow's not promised. So I definitely think if you appreciate the things that you have that are right in front of you a lot more, it ultimately just leads to a better lifestyle. And, I don't think you have to go through an accident or a near-death wreck to live by that way. I definitely think as humans, we all get distracted by, whether social media or just things in life that are created to bring us down. But the best that we could do is just try to live in the moment and try to truly appreciate what you have and not look at what other people have. Just be appreciative of who you are and love things about yourself. Find things to love in others that they don't love in themselves. And I think if we can just have a little bit more of that, then ultimately I think the world would be a better place.
I love it. Thanks for that. What about you, man?
Ultimately, after the wreck and through all the things I've been through with losing my mom and open heart surgery and things, is to be an example of God's strength and to not take credit for my own strength, because it's not mine, and to be an example of his strength and what all he's brought me through, and to be thankful in every single day, because before the accident, I was not. Yeah. I was not complacent. I was very frustrated at times with having this car or that car, having these Jordans or whatever, and just to be grateful and thankful for the things that I have and the people that I'm surrounded by and I get to do life with. It's not I have to do life with them. I get to do life with them. And I'm just to be thankful in every single day and to be grateful for I get to have my dream job. And at times, if you have a dream job or not, there's times you don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
And to be thankful for the opportunity, especially after this, to go to work.
Dude.
And go back to work and just be thankful for every opportunity and every circumstance in our lives.
I freaking love it. Guys, both well said. Thank y'all for that, man. I'm fired up.
Yeah.
I'm fired the hell up.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I do got to ask, are you going to ride again? Are you riding again?
I just got it back last week, and like we've talked about, I look a lot worse than it did. It does.
Yeah.
And the plan is to sell it, and because eventually I want a bigger one anyway. But I have ridden it because that was something I needed. I never felt a fear of it anyway, and still don't. But that's something I wanted to do for myself. It wasn't for anybody. It wasn't posted on social media. It's not going to be posted on social media. But after such a traumatic injury, to say to myself, I have ridden it again.
Yeah.
And I have. And it's no matter how, it was 5 minutes, and I rode it in a big around the block, but I've still ridden it. It's not something that is ever going to defeat me. And I felt that way the entire time in the hospital. And most time, I guess, when people go through accidents, even in cars, and I preach this a lot, but even in cars, they're nervous or they're scared.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've tried to preach the entire time. There's no fear.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm Superman or because I'm anything. We're not going to live with fear. And fear has no place in our lives. And so, yes, I have ridden it. And it was a milestone for myself. It wasn't for anybody else.
Yeah.
It was that's why I didn't call and tell everybody I did it or anything, post it, or it was for myself to, yes, I have ridden it.
And I think it's cool, man. It is for you. And that was like since I'd ridden a couple friends, obviously you saw my bike, I couldn't ride.
Yeah.
But I've ridden a couple friends' bikes, and it's just like, just felt good.
Yeah.
For me, I just don't, it's not even a desire to get another one.
Right.
I think it's just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
It doesn't fulfill me like it did, and I'm fine with that. Maybe one day there will be a season for it. I don't know.
Right.
Life's full of twists and turns and unexpected things. But I will say that, like, just to do it, it was like, hell yeah, I rode. I mean, it's hard to really put that feeling into words, but you're just like, thing didn't defeat me, and that's cool.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
That's how I felt.
Oh yeah.
And this one, we can say this on here. This one, mine is for sale. It only has 5,000 miles.
Check it out, guys.
2014 883, and it's been garage kept its entire life.
Someone's gonna be like, dude, I just listened to this podcast about this dude that went through all this shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy his bike.
Yeah. And
it's a great advertisement.
Yeah, it's in running shape.
I'm like, get it out of my garage.
Yeah, it is in running shape.
Well, I get it. It affects you in your way too. I'm sure you're not too keen on it, but from what I could tell, you support them. I don't know.
I think I'm. You get attacked by a shark, and I look at the shark like the bad guy. I think I'm just not there yet. I think I can be accepting one day, but right now I still look at the motorcycle like the bad guy. But I also, I've seen things that you haven't, and felt things that I hope that you never have to feel.
Yeah.
And so, if that's where I'm at, I'm okay with accepting that. I am angry at something that, maybe I shouldn't be, but in the future, I know that I'll get past that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not ready to think about you on a bike right now.
And it's not priority number one.
No.
People, even the doctors ask me, there's one doctor I see once a month, and to this day, that's the first question out of her mouth every time.
You gonna ride?
You gonna ride it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not priority number one.
Yeah.
I did it. It's been ridden since the wreck was not going to be the last time, and it's not the last time. But it's not priority number one. I lost 6 months with her, with our daughter, with my friends, with my band. There's a lot of making up and saying thank you to a lot of people, but there's a lot of making up and living to do.
Yeah, and
it's not priority one.
And I know you wanted to say your thank yous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And feel free to take off on that too. I mean, obviously I know where you're at with the bike and, Samantha's feeling it how she does. And I respect that because guess what? She was the one by your side, man.
Exactly.
And so like, I feel for that too. But hey, see how life plays out, right?
Exactly.
So,
and I started riding on the back with my dad when I was 3 years old, and in my teens I had one, and my dad has ridden for 35 years at least, and he said, I don't care if you ever ride it again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see you hurt. And it's not a death sentence just to ride it, but he even said, I don't care if you ever ride it again.
Yeah.
It's you don't have to prove anything to anybody.
Yeah.
You earn the Harley man stripe, I guess, which I wasn't trying to earn it, but so I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I proved it to myself.
Yeah.
It's been ridden, it's been conquered, and now we have a lot of living to do and a lot of thank yous. Like you said, I have a laundry list of thank yous.
Hit it.
Because I owe so many people thank yous because I've had so much help through this. I want to thank Samantha for staying by my side when the uncertainty of seeing me lay in that bed and not knowing if I was going to wake up or not would have been easily to turn and walk away.
Yeah.
And she didn't. And she's not wavered. And I'm very thankful for that. So thank you. And thank you to my dad for being with me in the hospital and being with us through everything, sleeping on the uncomfortable hospital beds and falling asleep in the waiting rooms. And he never left. And thank you to my brother for being there and being there for Carson that night as he was hurting too. And he didn't let Carson see any pain and fear. And I'm very thankful for that. Thank you to God, because God carried me through this and surrounded me with such wonderful people. And thank you to my band at Tootsie's. If they hear this, they have played in my place for 6 months, and each of them has been there when I couldn't be. And I'm very appreciative of that. And they're with me now. They were with me on my first night back last Thursday. They'll be with me for the future. And I'm very appreciative of that. And thank you to my job for my name's been on the schedule the entire time that I was not there. The name was still on the schedule and that time slot was still mine. Thank you to Tootsie's and to Scott Collier and John Taylor for doing that, because I easily could have been crossed off a list and replaced. Yeah. Because there's so many people who do it. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Super cool.
That my name stayed on that schedule the entire time. It never left. And they had a benefit for me in November, and the band played for free. They donated all their money to me, and the money the bar made that night on that floor came to us.
Sweet.
Because we're in, this stuff comes with debt, and we probably are close to $1 million owed to Vanderbilt, so we're very appreciative of that. But and thank you to my friends who have been by our side and were very caring and consoling of Samantha when I couldn't be there. And to all of our friends and all of our friends and family. I know her mom drove down the day after the wreck, and there was so many people that were there for her and there for my family, my dad, my brother, and Carson, and they were there for them and helped to alleviate some of the stress. So I want to thank each of those people, all of our friends and family, and anybody who's donated to our GoFundMe. It truly made a difference. We did not go out and buy Gucci bags and anything like that. It went to to pay our finances, because being out of work 6 months has a drastic effect.
You're taking care of your stuff.
Yeah. And I'm very thankful to anybody who donated to us. And it went to putting food in our bellies and keeping the lights on at home. And we are very appreciative of that. We want to thank every single nurse that tended to me, every single doctor at Vanderbilt. And there's so many nurses we want to go back and see and say thank you to in person. And to see me like this will hopefully make them feel good, because they've seen me from the night of the wreck and thereafter to now, and they'll be able to see what they helped to create.
That's amazing.
And I'm very thankful for that. And thank you for having us on here, and
thank you.
for all the love and the conversation. It's been awesome today, and it's hurtful stuff to talk about at times, and it's very painful to relive, but it's been awesome. So thank you for having us. And that's the two words that we want to say every day is thank you. Thank you for everything, because we are very thankful.
Well, thank you guys for being
Thank
here,
you.
for sharing your story, especially giving it so soon. But it's the tagline from a podcast. Everyone has a story, right? And the whole purpose is to impact others, get it heard. And share it, because someone's going to hear it that needs to. And that's important, man. I think y'all got a beautiful story. It's given that situation, there's beauty in that.
Definitely.
There's so many layers of it, and that's the thing about it. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're able to share it. I'm glad you're here and you're able to share it. You stuck by his side, and you're just amazing for doing so. I love that. You guys rock. I'm just stoked y'all came in and were willing to do so, and it's been an honor. And just to get to know y'all, get to know you more.
Yeah, finally, in person.
Everybody, support them as much as possible. Check them out. Check out his band. Check out everything they do. Go to their bar, wherever they're working at. But where can people find you and say, they want to donate some money or something? Where can they go to do that?
On Facebook and Instagram, it's After Dark Dalton Black. And on the day I had this last brain surgery, I released the new song, and it's After Dark, and the song's called War With Myself. It's on Spotify, and I'm very appreciative if anybody goes and streams it.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Is that it?
I'm on social media too, yeah.
Definitely.
I'm on Facebook, Samantha Black, and then my Instagram is Acknowledge Mrs. Black. And I have a Venmo attached to it, just if anybody wants to donate or, so we're grateful to anybody that's just made meals for us. That was huge, because, I'm a huge cook. I love to cook. I'm in the kitchen every day, but you just don't feel like it when you're, doing that. And I worked the whole time through it too, so I was just tired. So anybody that made meals too, that was extremely helpful.
We want to, on that note, Woodmont Hills Church has brought us dinner. Different people, members of the church, has brought dinner to our house, and we are very grateful for that. We did not want to forget them. Woodmont Hills.
Sweet. Yeah. I love it, guys. Well,
and Chattahoochee Charcuterie.
Thank you.
Chattahoochee Charcuterie. Yes.
If you need, it's crazy the stuff she can do with salami, can fold it into a flour. It blows my mind.
You and my wife need to collaborate. She does all the sourdough stuff, and she's a hell of a cook too, man. Maybe,
I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, but hey, thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Everybody go show them some love, show them some support. Until next time, guys, go ahead and shake hands. Got to shake two this time. Hey, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No fear.